In early 1942, the Philippines became the stage for one of the most brutal episodes in World War II, the Bataan Death March. After nearly 3 months of fighting, American and Filipino troops surrendered to the Japanese on April 9, 1942. What followed was a forced transfer of tens of thousands of prisoners through unbearable conditions, physical abuse, and sheer brutality. Many died before ever reaching captivity. This episode was later condemned as a war crime, a reminder of human suffering and resilience. This is the full, verified story, beginning with the battle, leading up to the collapse at Bataan, the harrowing march, and its aftermath. Following the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, the Japanese invaded Luzon in the Philippines within days. By January 1942, they had landed on Bataan, forcing General Douglas MacArthur's forces, comprising roughly 12,000 understrength American soldiers and approximately 66,000 Filipino troops, to withdraw into a fortified defense on the peninsula. Supplied with half rations and suffering outbreaks of dysentery, malaria, and dengue fever, the USAFFE, United States Army Forces in the Far East, held out for 99 days, delaying Japanese reinforcement, buying time for Allied forces to regroup elsewhere. Morale was strained, but determination remained. By April, starvation, disease, and a shortage of ammunition crippled the defenders. On April 9, 1942, General Edward King formally surrendered approximately 76,000 troops, about 12,000 Americans and 64,000 Filipinos. With the surrender came chaos. Men too weak to walk were shuffled into crowding holding areas and then forced to trek. Most had no footwear. Japanese guards viewed surrender as dishonorable, and POWs were considered inferior, leading to widespread abuse. Several groups of prisoners were marched separately, beginning at Mariveles and Bagak. The route unfolded over approximately 105 kilometers, approximately 66 miles, ending first at San Fernando and then by rail, or more walking, to Camp O'Donnell. Many POWs collapsed from heat exhaustion, dehydration, or illness. They were beaten, bayoneted, shot, or left to die along the road. A notorious mass execution occurred at the Pantingin River on April 12th, where roughly 400 officers and NCOs, both American and Filipino, were tied and killed by Imperial Japanese troops, possibly under orders from Colonel Masanobu Tsuji. Conditions were horrific. Prisoners often received only a few cups of rice with little or no water. Some guards deliberately poured scarce water on the roadside. Any POW who paused, even to relieve himself, risked death. Filipino civilians who attempted to provide water or aid were also punished, sometimes executed on the spot. Over the course of 5 to 10 days, starting April 9th to 10th, thousands walked through blistering heat and mud, many barefoot or clothed in rags. Of the approximately 76,000 prisoners who began the Bataan Death March, only about 54,000 reached Camp O'Donnell. During the march, about 500 to 650 American POWs and between 5,000 and 18,000 Filipino POWs died from exhaustion, abuse, or execution on the march itself. Survivors recount guards using rifle butts, bayonets, or executing POWs at random. Some prisoners were tied behind trucks and dragged until they died. Others were shot while resting. The sun treatment, forcing prisoners to sit in direct sun for hours, was routine. Many Philippine civilians risked their lives to leave cups of water or rice along the route. Such acts sometimes led to executions if guards turned away, helpers or POWs accepted assistance. Journalists later interviewed survivors who described collapsing columns of prisoners, their hands tied, faces drawn. Water and food were almost non-existent. The march became synonymous with human endurance and cruelty. Those who survived the Death March were herded into Camp O'Donnell, a former Philippine Army training camp repurposed as a POW facility. Thousands suffered from dysentery, malaria, malnutrition, dehydration, and injuries. Disease swept through the camps. Within weeks, more died in captivity than during the march itself, over twice as many. By mid-1942, one-third of the original defenders had died, either on the route or in captivity. Many surviving POWs were later transported aboard Hell ships to forced labor camps across Japan and Southeast Asia. Packed tightly in hold cargo areas, hundreds drowned when Allied submarines sank those ships. Public awareness only came in January 1944, when escaped POWs reached Allied lines and shared sworn statements. A Life magazine report soon followed, exposing the atrocity and fueling American public outrage, helping galvanize the war effort in the Pacific. Post-war proceedings followed. Japanese General Masaharu Homma, commander of the 14th Army that oversaw the campaign, was tried by a U.S. military tribunal in Manila in January-February 1946, convicted of war crimes, and executed by firing squad on April 3, 1946, acknowledged as responsible under the doctrine of command responsibility, even if he claimed ignorance of the atrocities. Today, survivors and families remember the victims through memorial ceremonies, including Day of Valor on April 9th in the Philippines, and annual reenactments and marches in the U.S., such as the Bataan Memorial Death March in New Mexico, honoring courage, endurance, and sacrifice. In total, it is estimated that between 7,000 and 18,000 POWs died during the march, or soon after, and another 30,000 or more perished in camps or during transport. These figures remind us this was not just a loss of territory, it was a massacre of surrendering soldiers under brutal occupation. The Bataan Death March stands as a grim emblem of war crimes and human suffering, yet also a testimony to discipline, endurance, and solidarity between Filipino and American forces. The defenders delayed Japanese advances at great personal cost and faced unspeakable brutality with dignity. Through memorials, remembrances, and survivor testimonies, the world honors their tragic sacrifices. The march and its aftermath serve as a stark warning. In war, surrender does not always ensure safety. Those who endured demonstrated a resilience of spirit that continues to teach us about human strength in the face of horror. If this video added something to your understanding of history, please like, leave a comment, and subscribe for more.